In this series of videos, we're going to create the objects that our train cars will be attached or parented to, and they will help move the train around the track. And we'll also go ahead and set up the geometry node system to make the wheels turn at the correct speed. So let's start with deleting all the objects in the scene. And then using Shift A, let's add an empty cube. Then Shift A to add an empty sphere. Then last, Shift A, go to curve, not mesh. So we're going somewhere different, curve, circle. So make sure you did get a curved circle. You can see in the outliner, the little green icon that usually has the triangle for mesh now has a curve line. So that way this is a curve object, which is important for what we're setting up in a little bit. And let's go ahead and scale the curve object by 10, just so it's big enough that we can make our objects go around this path. Next, let's select the empty cube and let's rename this. Let's do train 0 because it will be the first thing in line of the engine and not one of the train cars. And then we'll put dash engine. Then let's select the empty sphere, which looks like 3 circles kind of intersecting. And let's name that train 1 dash train car. And we will make more of these and number them train 2, train 3, and so on. Okay, now let's hit N to open the property shelf and let's select the train engine. So in the last video, we talked about drivers. So we're going to use drivers to control where these are as they move around this curve later in the lesson. But to do that, we need to have some numbers that we pull from other places. We need to have some numbers that we type in. And to make our lives easier, we're going to put all the numbers in this section where it says properties. And you'll notice there's nothing here right now, but when you have the empty object selected and you go to this little yellowish orange square, it says object properties. Click on that. And at the very bottom, you'll see custom properties. So when you do that, you have an option to add new. So we'll click new and you'll notice that we have a property here at the bottom and it also shows up in the property panel so we can get to it easily. So with this object, we're going to have a total of 5. So we have 1, then click new for 2, 3, 4, 5. Then go ahead and select your empty sphere, the train 1, and we're going to give this one 4 properties. So the sphere, which we've named train 1, will have 4 properties. The empty cube, which we've called train 0, will have 5. So we're going to name these. I'm going to show you how to do that with one of them, and then I'll pull the list on the screen so you can go through and name every part accordingly so I don't have to necessarily walk you through every step. So we're just going to look at what's called properties 1, the first one, and you'll see a little gear to the right. If you click that gear, we can now change some of the settings for this. We're going to start by changing the property name. So we'll click on that and we're going to call it A, capital A, dash current frame. It has a default value, which doesn't matter. We can leave that alone. But we have a min and max value. Whatever these numbers are the limit of what the value can be. So if we need it to be 100, but the max is 1, it will not go past 1. So we're going to make this some ridiculous number that you'll probably never reach that much, but just to make it simple and know that you're not going to have any issues, we're going to do for minimum a negative 1 million and for maximum a positive 1 million. I don't feel like there's any way possible that you'll have any numbers that get close to that, but I don't want you typing the wrong thing and having a small number by mistake. So this way we know for sure you're not going to have any trouble. And when you finish, it's very important that you click OK. And then you'll see that this is changed here in the property shelf. And we have a current frame and we can change this all the way up to 1,000,000. Okay, so let me move this onto the screen so that you can see it. And you're going to take the empty cube, the one that we've named train 0. We've already named the first property A-current frame. We've set the minimum to -1,000,000, the max to +1,000,000. You're going to go through with the next 4 that are attached to the empty cube, name them like you see on the screen. So B-frames to complete one time around the track, C percentage on track, and so on. Each one, make sure you give it -1,000,000 and a +1,000,000. And then when you get to the empty sphere, you have 4 properties. You'll name them like you see on the screen and give each of those a -1,000,000 and a +1,000,000. So pause the video with this on the screen, go through and get all those values entered into your objects. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to get all of those input. So you can see here my empty cube, which is train 0, has the 5 settings, 5 properties. Then if I select the empty sphere, which is train 1, you can see that I have these 4 properties. Okay, so next we're going to start setting these up, and I'll explain each part as we go so that it will control what the train is doing. So let's start with a current frame. We want to use the current frame as a driver. So we'll come down to the current frame. We're going to right click, select copy as new driver. We're going to come up to A, and let's make sure that we have the correct thing selected. So I do have the train 0-engine selected. We're looking at A, the current frame. We're going to right click and paste driver. So now as our scene plays, this number will update based on that value. So I'm just going to put my current frame back to 1. Next, we have B, frames to complete one loop. And this is a number that will change manually when you're animating your train. But basically, this will control the speed of the train. So if it takes 100 frames to go all the way around versus 50, 50 will make it seem like the train is going a lot faster. And once we get this set up, we'll come back and actually play with this so you can see how that works. Next, we have C, percentage of track complete. So we have a track, and let's pretend where my cursor is the beginning. So if I start here, we've went 0% of the track. And if we go all the way around, we have went around this one whole time, or 100% of the distance from the start to the end. So that is what this number will represent. So if we start on frame 1, we would be starting at 0. If we end at frame 250, we would have went around all the way and reached the point where we began. So just to make this a little easier, let's go ahead and change current frames to 100. I'm sorry, not current frames. Change B, frames to complete one loop, to 100. What we need to do is take the current frame divided by the end frame. So if we're on frame 1 out of 100, we've went 1%. If we're on frame 50 out of 100, we've went 50%. If we're at frame 100 out of 100, we have went 100% of the distance around. And that's what will be calculated in this section C. To set this up, we're going to right click on A, the current frame. We're going to copy this as a new driver. We're going to come down to C. We're going to right click and paste that as a driver. Now, I will note, we could have just copied this straight into this formula, but I felt like it was very important that you see each part of this and you understood how all these things relate. Once you understand drivers, you wouldn't necessarily need as many things as I have here. This setup is really to allow you to visually see all the parts and how they all relate to one another. Okay, so we have copied the value from A and we've pasted it into C as a new driver. We're going to right click and go to Open Drivers Editor. And we'll just move this to the side. For this to work, we're going to change the type of driver from average value to scripted expression. And to keep this real simple, we're going to use the letters as our variables. So we're going to have A divided by B. So A, use the slash above the number 8, and then the letter B. And I am going to keep all of these capital. Keep in mind, upper and lowercase does matter. Now, if we look at our current frame, which is A, I'm just going to delete this other stuff. So this is A. So what's in this area has to match exactly up here, or it will not pull the number correctly. So this is getting us the information for the current frame. We're going to add an input variable. We want it to be pulled from our object, the train 0 engine. So I'm just going to click this drop down, select train 0 engine. And the information I want is found in B. So I'm going to right click. We're going to copy data path, and that will tell Blender how to look in the coding of what's happening in the software to find the number that we have typed in. Once we have copied that, we'll come here, press Control V and hit enter. And you will see that the value is updated to 100, which is what we have there. Last, we're going to change the name of this variable to a capital B. So A divided by B. So we have 1 divided by 100. And then it shows us the value of that is 0.01 or 1%. And you can see that updated here on the screen. Okay. Now, for this next part, we're going to pause working on the driver and go ahead and put this cube onto the track because that will help you understand this next part. So we're going to look at the cube and we're going to come to the properties panel and we're going to go to the constraints tab. And I don't think we have talked about constraints, so I'll give you kind of a quick introduction. A constraint is something that limits some property of an object. So I could constrain the location so it copies the location of another object. I could limit the rotation so it can only rotate a certain amount. I could limit the scale. We're going to make it follow a path. So basically it can only move along the path and it can't move anywhere else. So we're going to click follow path and we're going to click follow curve. Now, for the next step, we need to tell it which curve it's following. We're using the Bezier circle, and you'll notice that the cube goes over to it. Now, there is an option for forward axis, and with a cube, we can't really tell which way it's facing. So later when we attach the train, and if the train isn't facing the right way, we can change these to point it in the right direction, or we can just rotate the train. So we may come back to these numbers in a future video, or not numbers, these settings, but for right now, we're going to leave that alone. So the main thing we're looking at now is the offset. The offset is how far along the path it is moved from the beginning. So this is the starting point, and if I start to increase this number, it's going to be offset from the beginning point by that amount. So for this setting, 100 means that you've come back to the very beginning. And that's the number that we're looking at. So we're going to come back to our driver. We're looking at C, the percentage of track complete. So if we went 50%, that would be 50 out of 100. And it would put us about here. So we're going to go to C. We're going to look at this value, right click, copy as a new driver. We're coming down to D. We're going to right click on D and paste as a driver. So now these two numbers are exactly the same, but we need this number multiplied by 100. So if it's 50.5, which is 50%, we would get 50. If it's 1, which is 100%, we would have 100. So we're just going to right click and open Driver's Editor. We're going to change the type to scripted. And for this, we're not going to add any new variables. We don't need to change this. All we need to do is add the asterisk for multiply and then type in the number 100, and it will always multiply whatever value we have here for the percentage by 100, and that will correctly control this. So we can close that. And let's go ahead and look at D. We're going to right click on that. We're going to copy as a new driver. We're going to come over to the offset of the empty cube on its follow path constraint. We're going to right click and paste driver. So now if we hit play, our cube is going to go around the track. Now, at the moment, the train will be going in this one direction. If for some reason you need it to go the other direction, we can change that by making one of the 100 negative, but we're just going to leave it alone for now. And if you run into that problem in the actual project, let me know and I can show you how to fix that. Okay. Last, for our empty cube, we have E, the offset value for train cars. So this number is going to affect the spacing between the engine and all the other cars. And I put this here so that way you could select the main train engine and then adjust the spacing from all the cars using this one area instead of having to select each car individually and change their spacing. So this allows us to control all the spacing with just one number in one location. So let's go ahead and select the empty sphere, train 1. Let's go ahead and add a constraint for follow path. We're going to select the Bezier circle, and we're going to click follow curve. Now, you will notice that for some reason, this isn't starting at the beginning. The reason for that is that the location of this object on the path is affected by its location before it was added to the constraint. So you can see I'm moving the location and it moves. And if I come over and click on this eyeball, I can hide this. And this is its original location before the constraint is controlling it. If I turn this eye on, this is its location once it's being controlled by the constraint, plus these numbers. So it's offset based on these 3 location values. So to keep it exactly on the curve, we have to make sure X, Y, and Z for location are all 0. Now at the moment, these 2 are on top of each other, and our offset will be the thing that pushes it back along the path. So with the empty sphere selected, the train 1, we're going to look at the values and start plugging these in. So we have the offset value from the empty cube. So we're going to select the cube. We're going to look at E, which is the offset value that we'll manually adjust later. We're going to right click, copy as new driver. We'll come back to the empty sphere. We're going to go to F, offset value from the empty cube. We're going to right click and paste driver. So now when I change this number, this offset value will update. Okay, next we're going to attach a driver to G, the position of the empty cube on the track. So we're going to tell Blender that the empty cube, the train 0, is currently at this position on the track. So we're looking at value D. We're going to right click and copy that as a new driver. So we did get D, not C. So we are looking at D. We're going to select the train 1 car empty object. We're coming to letter G. We're going to right click and paste as a driver. So the empty cube currently is at 1. And we would like for the circle to be offset or behind it by this number. So basically we're going to have this number minus this number. So let's go ahead and take G, right click, copy as a new driver, come down to H, right click, paste as driver. We're going to right click on H. We're going to open driver's editor, move this to the side so we can see what we're doing. We're going to change the type of driver to scripted expression. We're going to clean this up a bit, and we need G minus F. So G is where the cube is at. F is how much farther back we want our sphere shape. We're going to come down to the variable, and we'll just change this one to G because G is the value of where the cube is. We're going to click add input variable. The variable is coming from the object we're on, which is train1-car. And now we just need to get the data for F. So we're going to right click on that purple area for F. We're going to copy data path, then come down to path in the driver's editor, hit Control V, and that will paste that information there. We can see this is 1.12, which is what we have here. This value is 1, which is what we have there. And now we can close this. And let's make sure, we'll fix that in a second. Okay. Hang on just a second. I think I made a mistake. Let me pause. Okay, no. So one thing that I just forgot to talk about is the train spacing multiplier. So train 1 will be back this distance. Train 2 should be twice that distance. Train 3 will be 3 times that distance. So we're going to add this number into our calculation for the position on the track. So we're going to right click on that, and we're going to open this back up. So G is where the cube is at. And now we're going to make a small change. We're going to put brackets around F. So F is going to be multiplied by I. So G minus bracket F asterisk for multiply, I close bracket. So what's in brackets is going to happen. And then once that happens, G is going to be, this number is going to be subtracted from G. So let's go down, and I did forget to do this. This variable should have been named capital F. We need to add one more input variable. We're going to go ahead and name this one I. The object is our current object, the train1-car. The data path is this number for I. So we'll right click, copy data path, put our mouse over this red area, hit Control V. And now it should be giving us the value of the offset. So we can now close that. And the last thing we need to do is make sure we have the train1-car object. We're looking at the offset of that, so we know where it's at on the path. And that number should be this one. So we're going to right click, copy as new driver, right click, paste driver. So what should happen is that they are both going around together. If we select the train 0 engine and we increase this offset, we should, and I think I've messed something up. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So as we increase this number, we are increasing the distance between those. So when we attach our train cars, if your train cars are really long, you can space them out farther. If they're really short, you can pull it in together based on how you modeled your train cars. So if we hit play, those are going to go around and around and around. So let's pause that. And let's just go ahead and add 3 more of these since you have 3 train cars total. And we'll just hit Shift D, and we're just going to move it just a little bit so it's not too far off. Actually, I'm just going to take this new one, hit the eyeball to hide that. And let's change all these locations to 0. And we'll rename this one train 2. And we're going to change the spacing to number 2, train 2 for letter I, 2. Then we'll hit Shift D to make another one. We're going to call this one 3. And we'll change its number to 3. And we'll hit Shift D one more time. We're going to name this one train 4. And we're going to change the spacing to this one to 4. So if we now turn on the eyeball to turn the constraint back on, we'll select it up here. It's a little easier. And here we go. So now you can see they're spaced evenly. If we change the spacing on the cube, we can increase or decrease the space between all of them at the same time. And then when we hit spacebar to play, we can see our trains will now go around the track. So we're going to stop this video here. And in the next video, we'll make a very simple wheel and set up the geometry node setup to make the wheels rotate.